Oh, Gerald had blown. A burst of flame shot across the kitchen. Squidward pulled his charred head back through the order window and fell over the counter. SpongeBob peeked through the window. What did you say, Squidward? Squidward? He looked around but couldn't see his co-worker. Okay, Squidward, doesn't matter. I'll always be here anyways. Face down on the floor, Squidward muttered, unfortunately. Mr. Krabs came out of his office, having a happy sailor's can seat to himself. He spotted Squidward laying on the floor. Squidward, stop loafing. There's work to do around here. The boss strode briskly over the shed bell and attached the wall to yank it. Its cord, clang, clang, clang. Attention, crusty crew, he bellowed. Hoist the mainsail. Full speed ahead. Mr. Krabs crossed the front door, flipped the sign from closed to open, and the doors open. A huge crowd of hungry customers surged into the restaurant, trampling him. But Mr. Krabs didn't mind a bit. Hey, he chuckled as he lay on the floor, flattened, never gets old. Later that day, SpongeBob cloned himself into several sponges so he could do all the Krusty Krab jobs. One sponge stood, order up, move it, let's go. Piling Krabby Patties on the tray, another SpongeBob answered, aye, Chief. Laughing, he ran over to the tray and served us patties to the waiting customers sitting at tables in the dining room. The SpongeBob in the kitchen kept ringing the bell, announcing that another order was recently completed. The SpongeBobs in the dining room rushed from the table, delivering food at lightning speed. All the SpongeBobs were laughing. Die. One for you, SpongeBob said. Enjoy your Krabby Patty, said another. Enjoy, said a third. The SpongeBob in the kitchen rang the bell again. Ding, ding, order up. Come on, SpongeBob. One of the sponges in the dining room said. Coming fried cooked, SpongeBob, and then laughed. Another did the same. Squidward sighed, exhausted with SpongeBob's antics. The front doors opened and Sandy entered, wheeling a big crate on a cart. Hiya, SpongeBob, she called to the SpongeBobs. Hi, Sandy. They answered at the same time, then merged back into one. Boink, 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 boink. Sandy looked out from behind the big crate. Do you know that in the future everything will be automated, she asked. I'm going to see if Mr. Krabs wants to be an early adopter of my new technology. Wait, what? SpongeBob asked, alarmed. They're going to replace me with the robot. Don't do it. Sandy chuckled. No, silly. No, silly. She reassured him that that's going to happen anyways. She patted the crate. This is something much more innovative. A startup. Oh, phew, SpongeBob said, relieved. Sandy went to Mr. Krabs' office to make her a presentation. Sitting behind his desk, Mr. Krabs said, we have 60 seconds and started the timer. He didn't much like presentations. Most of the time they turned out to be sales pitches that would only cost him more of his precious money. The name is Otto, Sandy said, popping open the crane to reveal a robot. A robot? They're an automated restaurant owner. Mr. Krabs seemed intrigued, but then a look of concern clouded his face. Automated. Sounded expensive. Not interested. But Sandy wasn't going to be put off so easily. She believed in her invitation. Otto doesn't require a salary, she explained. He can make cold-heartless decisions, like firing people, because they don't have a heart. Mr. Krabs leaned forward, peering at the robot. You don't say. You're fired, Otto said in a robotic voice. Amazing, Mr. Krabs said, impressed. I love money, Otto said. I love money. Mr. Krabs overcame with truly heartfelt emotion, got up and walked around his desk. A cold, unfeeling mechanical robot. After me, cold, unfeeling, crustaceous heart. He nodded decisively. I'll take it and nature it. I will love Otto like they was me own son. Sandy was thrilled. Yippee! You're not going to regret this, Mr. Krabs. She skipped out of her office, leaving Otto behind. Mr. Krabs hugged the robot. Otto looked at him blankly and said, "You're fired. I could listen to that all day." Mr. Krabs stood there laughing. Otto moved behind the desk and sat in the boss's chair. "Now seriously," they said, "you're fired. Please clear out your desk. You have 60 seconds. He started the timer. 60 seconds later, the back door of the Krusty Krab banged open, and Mr. Krabs stomped through it, carrying Otto over his head. No, you're fired," Mr. Krabs shouted. "No, you're fired," Otto replied calmly. "You're fired, you infernal machine," Mr. Krabs insisted. "No, you're fired," Otto repeated in the same measured voice. Mr. Krabs tossed Otto up and boosted him with one foot, launching the robot into the air and across the street. Whomp! Otto landed in the Chum Bucket's trash bin, brushing his hands clean and giving a satisfied grunt. Mr. Krabs turned and went back into his restaurant to resume his duties as the proud, non-fired boss owner of the Krusty Krab. Inside the Chum Bucket, Plankton's computer wife Karen turned the television on to see who had caused the turned from the television to see what had caused the loud noise. Rolling on her wheels, she went out to the door in the back alley. She was alarmed to see Otto, a fellow machine, discarded in the trash bin. She moved closer. Otto's mechanical arms reached out towards her as hearts fluttered across Karen's screen.